He was standing in a plain grey suit, holding nothing but a worn leather folder. Two officers looked him up and down and decided he was trouble before he said a single word. They had no idea they were about to humiliate themselves in front of the entire courthouse steps, because in less than 3 minutes, the most powerful judge in the state was going to walk down those stairs, extend her hand, and call him sir, in front of everyone. Before we continue, hit subscribe. This story has a twist in part 3 that changes everything you think you know. The morning sun hadn't fully broken through the clouds yet. Elijah Bennett stood at the base of the courthouse steps, a weathered leather folder tucked under his arm, dressed simply. Grey suit, no tie, quiet and composed. He wasn't in a hurry. He wasn't causing a scene, he was just waiting. 2 patrol officers noticed him first. "Sir, you can't loiter here," one of them said, stepping closer, hand resting near his belt. "I'm not loitering," Elijah replied calmly. "I'm waiting for someone." The second officer smirked, exchanging a glance with his partner. "Sure you are. ID, now." Elijah reached slowly into his jacket, deliberate, careful, the kind of caution that comes from experience, not fear. He handed over a simple driver's license. The officer barely glanced at it. "This doesn't look official. You sure this is even yours?" A small crowd had begun to gather, phones quietly rising. Elijah's expression didn't change. He'd been here before, not this exact moment, but this exact feeling. The assumption, the dismissal, the invisible line some people decided he wasn't allowed to cross. "You need to leave the premises," the first officer said, voice sharper now. "Before we make you leave." Elijah simply nodded and said 4 words that would matter more than anyone realized. "I'll wait right here," because at that exact moment, the courthouse doors swung open, and Chief Justice Angela Reyes, the most powerful judicial figure in the state, stepped out and looked directly at him. Her eyes lit up. "Elijah!" The officers froze. Chief Justice Reyes moved quickly down the courthouse steps, her black robe still draped over one arm, a genuine smile breaking across her face, the kind reserved only for people who truly mattered. "Elijah Bennett," she said again, louder this time, extending both hands to clasp his. "I heard you might be joining us today, but I didn't think you'd actually make it." The officers exchanged a look of pure confusion. "You know him?" the first officer asked, his voice suddenly small. Chief Justice Reyes turned, her expression shifting from warmth to something colder. "Know him?" she repeated. "This is Judge Elijah Bennett, Federal Court of Appeals. He's here to observe today's proceedings, at my personal invitation." The crowd on the steps went dead silent. The second officer's hand, which had been resting near his belt moments earlier, dropped limply to his side. "Judge Bennett?" he stammered. Elijah said nothing at first. He simply looked at both officers, the same calm expression from moments earlier still intact, because this wasn't new to him. This was a pattern he'd learned to expect, and somehow still hoped to be wrong about. "I was told the courthouse was accepting all visitors this morning," Elijah finally said, his voice steady. "I suppose that welcome doesn't extend to everyone." Chief Justice Reyes's jaw tightened. She turned to the officers. "Badge numbers. Now." The first officer opened his mouth to explain, to apologize, to justify, but nothing came out. Because what happened next wasn't just going to embarrass them. It was about to expose something far bigger than one bad morning on courthouse steps. Inside the courthouse, the marble hallways echoed with hushed whispers as word spread fast. 2 officers had just humiliated a federal appellate judge on live video, and the Chief Justice herself had witnessed it. Chief Justice Reyes led Elijah into her private chambers, the heavy wooden door closing behind them with a solid thud. "I'm sorry," she said immediately, her voice tight with frustration. "That should never have happened. Not here. Not to you." Elijah set his leather folder down gently on her desk. "It happens more than you'd think, Angela. Just usually not with cameras rolling." She studied him for a long moment. "How many times?" He exhaled slowly. "Enough that I stopped counting after my 3rd year on the bench." The weight of that statement settled heavily in the room. But Elijah hadn't come to the courthouse that morning just to observe proceedings, and Chief Justice Reyes knew it. She sat down across from him, folding her hands. "You didn't fly in for the docket review," she said. "Tell me the real reason you're here." Elijah reached into his folder and pulled out a single document, sliding it across the desk. "There's a pattern in this city's precinct," he said quietly. "Complaints, dismissed cases, officers with repeated misconduct reports that somehow never make it to review." Chief Justice Reyes's eyes scanned the page, her expression darkening with every line. "This includes the 2 officers from this morning," Elijah added. She looked up sharply. "You knew who they were before you even got out of your car." Elijah nodded slowly. "I wanted to see it for myself," he said. "I wanted to know if it was really as bad as the reports suggested." Chief Justice Reyes closed the folder, her jaw tightening with resolve. "It's worse," she said. "And you're about to find out exactly how much worse." Chief Justice Reyes pulled up a secure file on her office computer, turning the screen toward Elijah. 11 complaints in 3 years, she said. Same precinct, same pattern. Black men and women stopped for suspicious behavior with no legitimate cause. 9 of the 11 were dismissed without formal review. Elijah leaned forward, scanning the names. His jaw tightened when he reached the 4th entry. "This one," he said, pointing. "Marcus Webb. I remember this case." "You should," Reyes said. "It crossed your desk on appeal 2 years ago. You overturned his conviction." Elijah sat back, memories surfacing. "The arresting officer's report didn't match the body cam footage. I flagged it, but the disciplinary review board cleared him within a week." "Officer Daniel Cross," Reyes said quietly. "Badge number 4471. Elijah's eyes rose slowly to meet hers. "That's one of the officers from this morning," he said. It wasn't a question. Reyes nodded once, grim confirmation settling over the room like a shadow. "He's been reported 11 times, reprimanded twice, promoted once." The silence between them was heavier than anything spoken aloud. "This isn't one bad morning, Angela," Elijah said, his voice low but firm. "This is a system that's been protecting him." Reyes stood, walking to the window overlooking the courthouse steps, the same steps where, less than an hour ago, Elijah had been dismissed, doubted, and disrespected. "So what do we do?" she asked. Elijah rose to stand beside her, watching the crowd below slowly dispersing. "We stop protecting the badge," he said, "and start protecting the people it's supposed to serve." Reyes turned to him, resolve hardening in her eyes. "Then let's make sure this morning wasn't just an embarrassment," she said. "Let's make sure it was the beginning of the end for men like Cross." But neither of them yet knew just how far this would go, or who else inside that precinct would be exposed before the week was over. By Friday morning, the story had spread far beyond the courthouse steps. The video of 2 officers dismissing a federal judge had gone viral overnight, but it was what happened next that truly shook the city. Chief Justice Reyes had ordered a full review of Officer Cross's history, and what investigators found went deeper than anyone expected. Falsified reports, suppressed body cam footage, a pattern of targeting black residents that had been quietly buried for years by supervisors more interested in protecting the department's image than its people. Officer Cross was placed on immediate leave, pending a formal misconduct hearing. But Elijah wasn't finished. He stood before the city's oversight committee, the same worn leather folder in hand, this time filled with case after case of dismissed complaints and buried evidence. "I've spent my career believing the law protects everyone equally," he said, his voice steady, carrying through the packed chamber. "But laws only work when the people enforcing them are held to the same standard as everyone else." He looked directly at the panel. Officer Cross didn't fail once. He failed 11 times, and the system let him. Murmurs rippled through the room. 3 days later, the precinct announced sweeping reforms, mandatory body cam reviews, an independent oversight board, and the reopening of every dismissed complaint from the past 5 years. Marcus Webb, whose wrongful conviction Elijah had overturned years earlier, was in the audience that day. He caught Elijah's eye and gave a small, grateful nod. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed as Elijah made his way down the very steps where it all began. A young officer, new, nervous, approached him cautiously. "Judge Bennett," he said, "I just wanted to say, thank you for not staying silent." Elijah paused, looking at the young officer's earnest face. "Don't thank me," he said. "Just make sure you're never the reason someone else needs to be." He walked down the steps and into the morning light, no longer the man mistaken for trouble, but the man who reminded an entire city what justice was supposed to look like.